Hey everybody, this is Jo. I'm here in Houston, Texas. I'm in Zone 9A and it is the 31st of March, Easter Day, and I am going to show you my front yard bed. I usually just show you that bed over there, but I thought I would start and give you the whole sweep here. I'm starting on the amaryllis called picote, and it is amazing. I love it so much. And then this was a shade bed until this week. This is all shrimp plant and some fire spike, but then this happened in a storm. We had to have about, you can see how big that was, half the tree cut off. And so now this is in the sun. So this rose, this is mutabilis, will be happier, I'm sure, but everything else we'll have to just see how that does. And this will fill in a little bit, but it may take a while, a couple of years for it to sort of fluff back out. You can see it's just sheared off half the tree. I've got some little drift roses out here, and these tree roots are awful. You can see here, just terrible, and it's almost impossible to grow anything right underneath it, which is why we have this ground cover that was here when we moved in, planted probably the day the tree was planted, and so so it has survived. But that's a little drift rose. Cute puppies going by. Here's another single variety, and I've kind of lost the names of these, and these just barely hold on. And here is a native plant ground cover called frog fruit. Look at that precious tiny little flower. And this is a butterfly host, which is why I'm growing it. I've let it go over the side. I tried to get it started here and to turn it into a ground cover instead of grass on this chunk right here. It is not, it's really got to get going before it's going to overtake grass. And I didn't know that when I planted it. And I have since heard from other people that I think if you want this to be a ground cover, you've got to give it a good start and don't make it fight with grass. But it certainly has taken a hold here, and I like it. This is a beautiful purple salvia. I don't know the variety. This was here when we moved in, and it has survived. So this plant is 15 years old or more, because it was here when we moved here 15 years ago. And it has come up every year. I don't protect it from the freeze and the winters or anything. And it gets about 3.5 feet tall, blooms all summer long, and is very no nonsense. I wish I knew what kind it was. I've added some gomphrena from the little gomphrena seedlings. All the other gomphrena seedlings I've shown you in the backyard that I planted all got eaten like day one by slugs or snails or something. So these are kind of my only gomphrena seedlings that have made it from seed to the ground. A little Texas bluebonnet came up, and more drift roses, and then a really great stand of Texas bluebonnets. And then this little drift rose, the single variety, this has really been one of the best bloomers. I'm sorry I can't give you the name of it, but the single ones have been better for me than the double varieties. And then I threw out handfuls of seeds from my coral nymph salvia last fall. And so it's coming up. Nothing will grow well under here because of that tree and the roots. I have a little gomphrena seedling still surviving, but these are gonna get kind of tall, but I'm gonna let it go and just see what happens, because I gotta get something to grow here. This one I do know, drift rose called popcorn. And the buds kind of start yellowish, and then it goes sort of pink. And that's been a good rose. Oh, here, you can see the little popcorn kernel there. And on the other side, it's just been near impossible to get anything to grow. I was separating some blue mist flower, which is a native Texas plant, and I just stuck some in the ground, and it's a ground cover, and it's very vigorous. And so, in a perfect world, maybe this will take over, so I don't just have just mulch. And then this is a hodgepodge, half weeds and half things that I've grown on purpose. Blue bonnets, this little sedum, and then I've got like the one random penta that made it through the winter. And then again, I've got a ton of little seedlings. Where'd they go? Here they are. Little coral nymph seedlings, salvia. And then the same thing here with tons of these. And then, oh my goodness, you guys, look at this. This is a native yarrow. Isn't that wonderful? I'm crazy about it. And it really took off this year and gotten so big and fluffy. These are new in the ground. This is the Texas rock rose that I just put in this early spring. And then I have a few little seedlings from, this is a native plant called Jewels of Opar, and it seeds freely. And so I dug up some little seedlings that were in the gravel in the back and put them in here. And I'm hoping they'll take off and would be really great. And then this bed is so pretty, and I'm really excited about how it's coming along. It's got lots of native plants in it. And then I threw a bunch of seeds. And so it's got sort of kind of a hodgepodge of things. Cosmos, not native. Then I've got, this is a Salvia farinacea, which is a native bluish purple salvia. I've got some Cleome seeds, that's non-native. I've got the, it's just starting to bloom over here. The beginnings, anyway, of coral nymph salvia. You know, I threw out all those seeds, but you can kind of see the color it's gonna be. And that's a native variety. Walter's viburnum, which this one looks gorgeous, nice, terrible. You never know. This beauty is Peggy Martin. Look at that. Isn't it amazing? And all up and over the top. I'll show it to you again when I stand back. Isn't that just amazing? It just blooms once. It's one and done. So the next time you see it, it will be 2025. I've got some Ammi coming up. I just threw seeds out here. So that'll be beautiful. Lots of chunks of Ammi here and there. And I think those will be great. And then I've got, this is that giant penta. It came back, that's what it looks like, that beautiful pink penta. I've got a couple of them here, and some larkspur, some that's not doing that well, and some that's doing really well. It's got lots of buds on it, and some that's already popped out. Isn't that fabulous? And then this is the powwow wildberry coneflower, and it is such a winner. I love it. It's kind of compact, gets about 2 feet tall, and it blooms all year. And I'm so impressed with it. Little bunches of bluebonnets here and there. I put in some zinnias, planted them, forgot to water them in, and so they're barely alive. I cut off half the flowers. And then, ooh, you guys, look. Look, 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 look. This is a native milkweed called swamp milkweed. Hey dudes, look at these guys. These are Monarch caterpillars. Look how fantastic. And you can see they've just denuded. It's just stems, and they will eat the stems if it gets down to it. And there's another one. Where'd he go? So that's been fun. And I grew all that from seed from last year. And if they run out, these guys, I don't think, well, I think there's plenty of green here, but if they start to run out, then I will just pop one. I got tons of milkweed in the back. Here is another native plant called Gora, and it is, you can see it's getting ready to just go crazy. Beautiful, beautiful flowers on that. And then the rock rose, again, next, that's a native, and it's looking really nice. This is the dwarf. Oh, what's he? Are you lost? What are you doing? That is not your native plant. Your plant's over here, bud. This is dwarf Salvia leucantha, which I was not impressed with last year, but I am trying again and letting it kind of get established. I would love to have a Salvia leucantha that doesn't get so tall that it flops over. And so that hopefully will be it. And then more larkspur. Look how pretty. And pink here. And then I've got some more Gora here, larkspur coming up. Lots of little seedlings of that coral nymph salvia. And then these three are, those are, excuse me, dwarf Barbados cherry, and they have fluffed out pretty well. They looked pretty ratty, and they are deciduous, so I didn't have them you know, looking nice all winter like the viburnum back there, but they've popped out nicely, and they'll have pink flowers. This is a native Texas plant called blue mist flower, and it is very aggressive and beautiful, and butterflies really, really like that. Let's see, where shall I go? What direction? Blue bonnets again. This is pink muley grass, which is native to Texas, and I've got one that looks nice, one that looks dead, and one that's getting completely covered up by this big plant that I planted with one seed. So this is a Nicotiana. I need to deadhead it. It's lavender. And I really do need to deadhead that, but you can see this enormous, that's one plant, and it's got so many bloom spikes on it, and it tends to bloom more in the morning and this the afternoon, so it may have already sort of opened and then closed for the day, but it's smushing my one kind of good looking grass back there. And then more beautiful larkspur and cosmos down here, and then oh, here's a Gora that's already blooming. Look how sweet. And that's native. Isn't that wonderful? And so I've got clumps of that here and there. It was so pretty last year that I bought more. This is the full-size Salvia leucantha, the Mexican bush sage, with an enormous weed growing right in the middle of it. This is a weed. But you can see the beginnings of its sweet little fuzzy purple flowers. And this is a lot of shade for this plant. It's not particularly happy. I've got this little bird cage on it so it won't fall over. This is not the perfect place for this plant, but I leave it. I like it there all right. Now I've got three porterweeds. They're native to Texas. This one looks fantastic. That one looks okay. This one's alive, but pretty pitiful, you know, and you never, this is gardening 101, guys. You buy the identical plant, you plant them 3 feet from each other. Sometimes they're fantastic and sometimes they're not. And again, case in point right here as well. Beautiful, beautiful. Uh-oh. This is a loosestrife. This is new to me. This is a Texas native. It'll be pink. It sure looks pretty, doesn't it? And I don't know how long, I don't see any, oh, squirrel. I don't see quite any buds on it yet, but I'm excited to see what that's going to look like. Here is the best non-native salvia ever, which is Mystic Spires, and it's such a great plant. It has not bloomed yet. I pinched it back so I would double the number of flowers that I get. You can see the little bit where I pinched on there. So it's set back a little bit. Here's like the sole survivor in the front yard, I think, of the little blue-eyed grass. And then I've got some cosmos I grew from seed. This is all that really big penta again. This, oh my goodness, you guys, I'm so excited. This is a desert willow. It's native to Texas, but it's really kind of more native to drier parts of Texas. That's why I put it in a pot. It looks like maybe it's gonna bloom pink flowers. I'm excited about that. And then I've got a blue plumbago here. And then let's just take a moment to look at this incredible live oak. And I wonder if that was maybe planted when the house was built in 1934. Pretty spectacular. Here's a mutabilis rose that changes color on the bush as time goes by and the petals mature. It changes. Here's that massive Jane magnolia that we planted about 15 years ago. And then here's another one we just planted a couple of years ago, really maybe even just 2, but we bought a big one. And so it's done well. And you know, they're sort of one and done also. They bloom, you get 2 weeks of gorgeous, and then you have to wait. This is a fragrant mist flower. It's never bloomed for me, but I'm really growing it, sort of shady back here. I'm really growing it for the foliage, which is a butterfly host. And so it's just tucked under here. It can get big and floppy, and so I'm fine with not really getting flowers off of that, but having it for the butterflies. Here's my third magnolia, which we don't know the name of. This is lyre leaf sage, and look, maybe I can actually show you a little bit of a blue flower. It's not quite open yet. Native Texas, and it is sowing itself. I knew it would. It hadn't yet, but now I've sort of collected seeds in the spring. See that little seed? And chucked them all over the yard, and now I have a lot of them. Here's my only vegetables so far. I've got 4 different kinds of peppers growing here. And then I just threw so many fennel seeds. So I threw some fennel seeds back here. So this is sort of backup for eastern black swallowtails. I have tons of fennel in the backyard. This is sort of a backup plant. And then I had a few little larkspur come up. And then this is called senna. And it's a tree. I don't really have room to grow it, but again, butterfly host. It is a host for sulfur butterflies. And I think, you guys, that they build kind of a cocoon instead of a chrysalis. I'm not really sure. But you see how this is stuck together a little bit? I think there's probably a caterpillar or something in there. But that is a pretty little dainty feathery plant. This, of course, is my fabulous wax myrtle, native to Texas. Just gorgeous. Here's a lyre leaf sage that has gotten, who knows where I threw the seeds, but it's come up and gotten established. And I've limbed this up. I like this look where you can see through it. And I've done that I keep doing it with this. This is a pretty squatty little tree. It looks like a bush. And then of course I've done it here as well. I've limbed that up and I picked a spot and taken all the foliage up. And I think it gives it a really nice form. And then there's another look at the Peggy Martin rose. And then I'm gonna take you back to the back here. Here's that great porterweed. And I lost one in the backyard. I don't know what happened to it, but it did not come back. There's a little lyre leaf sage popping up, which I'm really thrilled. Some people are like, well, it's kind of invasive. I'm okay with a native plant with blue flowers of taking over back here. It's a shade plant. That would be fine with me. These are agapanthus that are very hit and miss. I have a hard time getting them to bloom, but every once in a while I'll get a year where they have nice flowers. And so I never cross my fingers. I just let myself be surprised when they're beautiful. This is a black and blue salvia in a pot back here because it's very invasive, but I love it, and it does just fine. And it does all right. It doesn't get a tremendous amount of sun, but the bigger the leaf on a salvia, the more shade it can take. And you can see how big the leaf is on that black and blue salvia. This monster I'm so excited about. Look at this huge, huge oak leaf hydrangea. It is native to Texas. I think I've only put it in, I think it's maybe been here a year, and I'm so impressed. It got so big. It's much nicer form than the one in the backyard, which kind of broke off and looks all lopsided. And this one has got such a nice shape, and it's gonna have a ton of flowers on it. And then tucked under here, and I have just weeds, tucked under here, and this is that, before I go, this is that Jane Magnolia from sort of up underneath. And again, I've limbed it up, and I continue to cut suckers. You can see I've got a little sucker right there, but I continue to keep that cleared because I like the form of it, sort of limbed up. And then this is a southern wood fern, which is looking really nice back here. Native fern. And it took a little while for these other ones to kind of catch hold, but they're looking really nice. And then we're back around, there's that fennel right there. And I love the way this wax myrtle looks, all limbed up like that. I just think it's beautiful. It's such a nice form to it. And here you can peep into the backyard and see some natives. Coralberry is native. There are a couple of arrowwood viburnums, which are native, and then this is a coral honeysuckle that will climb up here, and that is also a native plant. And I just found out that is a butterfly host plant. I don't know what it's for, but that is a butterfly host plant. News to me. So that makes me even happier that I'm growing it. And it's tucked around in the back of the corner because it's kind of orange. And if you know me, you know I don't really grow orange flowers. Not on purpose. I've got some cleomes coming up, but they're kind of not going to be that showy behind this giant tree. And then I've pulled weeds and left them here. I need to tidy up. This is me being messy. And then let's see, there was another, oh, here he is. Right in there is another, this is milkweed, it's another monarch caterpillar. And there have been more, they got awfully big, they may have wandered off. Hey, speak of the devil, what are you doing? I don't know enough about monarch caterpillars, but this is the second one you and I have found on this video, not on his host plant. He's just wandering off. He's big enough, maybe he's looking for a place to put a chrysalis. And anyway, he's pretty cool. And then I've got cleomes coming up, coral nymph salvia coming up. I'm pretty sure that's a zinnia coming up from last year. More cleome. This is a little larkspur. It looks pretty pathetic. It's getting ready to bloom. It looks awful. Lots of things coming up in here. This is coral nymph salvia here. And then this is a bunch of larkspur that came up, getting ready to be purple there. And here's more of that pretty salvia farinacea. Well, I don't want to walk around here too much because I don't want to step on a wandering caterpillar, since they appear to not be staying in their little designated area. What is he doing over there? Well, if you know why they're wandering off like that, do comment, because I am always learning, and I learn so much from you guys that are watching me. I probably learn more from you than you ever learn from me. I hope you guys have a great week. Oh, I'm gonna end on this plant. I skipped over it because I was gonna end on it, and now I've trapped myself. Give me 1 second. This is the perfect Easter day end to a video. This is an amaryllis. I will tell you, don't be afraid to buy something random like an amaryllis bulb on Amazon. I bought these bulbs on Amazon probably 10 years ago. I have no idea of the variety name. They came packaged from Holland, just random. And they have been some of the most beautiful flowers that I think I have ever grown. Look at this, y'all. Isn't that amazing? And sometimes I'll get 5 flowers per stalk. And it's just one of my favorite things. So don't be afraid to, every once in a while, just buy something like that on, you know, I think I probably looked up, you know, hot pink amaryllis. And this is what came up. Now I'll say goodbye. I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you had a beautiful Easter. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.